Okay, so the last time we left off was with the game over screen. So this is where we left off. So we have our little game playing. You can get some points like that. And then after a certain amount of time, you get the game over screen. And then you hit restart, and the game starts again. Okay. Right? So that's pretty cool. And then what we also did was we deployed to Athena using WebGL. Oh, what's going on? All right. Okay. So then we also have it here in WebGL, right? Okay, and then we have that, right? So this was the old build. And so this doesn't have the game over screen, right? So what we should be doing is we need to obviously update the WebGL, but before we do that, I want to go more into these UIs, working with Unity and the UI system. So I would like to build a UI for like the main menu, and then push that over. And then we can have the main menu, we can hit start game, and then go to the game, right? And you go back and forth. So we can finally start having this, this almost like a full game. So let's get some inspiration of some basic mobile games. So we can just type in, I don't know, mobile game menus. And then let's just see what some of these, games look like for the UI screens. Right. So, right. So most games usually have something like this, right? Where you have like your banner. They usually call this a banner. And then you have your options here, like play, options, credits. And then you might have a sidebar here for more information. For example, the shopping cart, we can all surmise that this is probably like microtransactions or some kind of, whoa, don't want to do that. And then we have this little, looks like a trophy. So this will generally be for achievements or high scoreboards. And then we have a little gear icon for your settings, right? So using Unity, right? I'm going to try and emulate this, right? So this looks pretty nice. This one looks pretty cool too. I mean, obviously it's very popular, right? Angry Birds. So this one's very clean. As you can see, everything's not so jumbled up in the middle. Everything's kind of spread out, So this one looks pretty cute. I don't know what this game is, but that looks pretty cute. And again, they're following the same conventions. Like there's a little trophy again. This 1, 2, 3 indicates kind of like in the Olympics, right? You have your final scoreboards, right? So this is where you place, right? So this definitely is a scoreboard. So there's another gear. It's not very evident that that's a gear. So maybe they should add a few more of those. What are they called? The teeth. Yeah, they should add a little bit more teeth to make it very clear that hey, this is a gear. So this is for settings. And look, they have some Facebook connectivity there. Question: how many of you guys use Facebook? Okay, so that's basically nobody. Because what we could do is we could do Facebook integration, so you can share the game, and something we can do. There's a lot of things we can do, right? But anyways, does anybody use Twitter? Twitter? No? Everybody uses Instagram then, right? Okay, well I don't, so I'm not even going to touch that. Well, you could. I'm sure there's an Instagram SDK out there. Okay. So I don't know, I kind of like this UI. This UI is pretty basic, so I'm going to try and emulate that. Okay, I'm even going to try and emulate this different colored letter here. So I want to try and emulate this as much as possible. The gradient text, however, I won't be able to do, right? Well, I can, but I don't want to do that just yet. And this font is different too, right? This font is actually pretty nice. So what you can actually do is when you're working on a game, you can actually get a lot of these fonts. So you can just Google royalty-free fonts and just download the TIFF files. So free commercial use fonts right here. And just make sure that when you find a font that you like, for example, this Spider-Man, definitely not, right? Like this type of style, you probably can't use it because Sony has it, right? So you just have to make sure that you go here and you find a font that you can actually use in your game, right? So just be very careful, right? So I'm gonna, is there a way to filter this? Font categories. I want to do something more like cartoony. So style, comic, cute. Let's look at some cute ones. Okay. So our game is called Whack-A-Mole. So I want to see what it looks like when I call it Whack-A-Mole, like that. Okay. So we can start looking at some fonts. Hey, I like this one. Actually, it's pretty cute, right? So let's go with this one. This looks very cartoony. Let's go to download. Okay. So this one's called Baby Cruffy. Okay. So whatever that is. So let's open this bad boy up and okay. So Windows doesn't show me the extension. Okay. So it's .ttf. So fonts, right? Unity supports different fonts. So but what font types does it support? So we're going to type Unity font support, right? And here we go. So this one is to actually build fonts. So I'm not trying to build a font. I want to know the fonts that they support. Yeah. Oh, it's right here. It actually says supported font. So where is that at? Ah, right here. True type, so .ttf files, and open type fonts, .otf. So luckily ours is .ttf. So we should be able to just drag it into Unity. Unity should be able to parse it and read it. And we should be able to drag it into our text components, and that's it. Easy as that. Well, we'll see. Okay, so there's Baby Cruff. Where's the extract all? Extract right there. Okay, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna drag this into Unity. I'm gonna put it over here. And there you go. So you see how we have this little icon that has like a little A right there? So we know it works. If you didn't see a special icon like that, like if it was all white, that means that asset is not, basically readable by Unity, so you know it's not supported. So to make things, to keep things, organized, we'll create a folder here called fonts. And then we'll just pop that in there. Okay. Cool. Now, so I made a mistake here, right? We're writing the game inside of a scene called menu. This should be game, so we need to change these names a bit. So I'm gonna just call this main 2, and then I'm gonna change this game 1 to main. I'm gonna change this main 2 to game. There we go. Very roundabout. Okay, now here's supposed to be our main menu, right? Right now it's just blue. That's only because of the camera. We can have a skybox. In fact, let's find a skybox that we can have in the background, so you know we have something nice to look at. So let's go to the asset store, and you know, let's just explore and see what they have to offer. Now, the asset store is a great place for you to go and find assets. There's really good ones. There's some that you have to pay for because they're really advanced and very powerful. And there's also some that are very advanced and very powerful and are free, bless you, because they're open source projects. Okay, so you'll have a range of free and paid assets. So here I would like to find some, you know, skybox. Okay. And then for pricing, I would like to go and free, right? Cool, so look, we have all these skyboxes, and you know, we can look around here and see some really cool ones, right? So I want something cartoony, and this one really catches my eye. So I kind of want to look at what this one looks like. So we'll take a quick look. And that's pretty nice. That's really nice, right? So I'm not entirely sure if this is a static skybox or if this is dynamic, like you can just build it. Okay, so this is using shader graph, Unity's new shader plugin that they built. And I guess it says that 2018.3 and higher. So we're on 2018.4. So we should be able to grab this. So let's just download this. Now I have to remember my login information. All right. Shit. Cool. Third try. All right. Oh, okay. Skybox. Okay, so I downloaded it. Now all I have to do is click on import, and I should just import it into the project. Okay, and you can see everything that it's going to add. So there's a bunch of materials here. There's like a shader right there, and just a bunch of other stuff. So let's just go ahead and import this, and let's see what this does. All right. So that's imported now. So let's try and inspect. Now, usually these assets come with example scenes. So you can open up the scenes and try and see how they set up everything. And it's usually pretty straightforward. So this is the package that we imported. So here's a demo. So let's look at the day one. So I'm gonna go ahead and save my scene. And wow, that actually looks pretty nice, right? So that looks really cool. Now let's try and figure out how did they build this scene so ours can look like this too. In fact, we could actually just rip this entire scene and we can actually have our moles spawning from the ground here. Should we do that? Should we just rip this entire scene and just modify our game? Right? I mean, this is just for educational purposes, right? Plus, you know, they gave us the scene, so we can actually use everything in here. You want to use the trees? Go ahead and grab the trees, right? This is for commercial use. You're allowed to use these assets. Why? Because that's what the Unity Asset Store is for. People are only going to put things up there for you to actually use for your commercial projects. So you don't have to like worry, oh, can I use this model? Yes, of course, right? That's why sometimes Unity can get a bad rep for what they called asset flip games. It's because that's actually a good indicator that Unity is actually really easy to work with, right? That's kind of the goal, right? So yeah, I really like this scene. I kind of don't want to touch it. I would like the moles to pop up from here. It's got this really nice low poly, you know, look and feel. I really like this. So wouldn't it be really cute if we could have our moles popping up here, right? So I'm just gonna let's look at the night one. See how that looks. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Right. So if you want to just straight up rip, you know, this out, you can actually hit Control D, and I'll just duplicate that scene. So I'm gonna just grab this and put it into our project. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just delete our old game scene. Go ahead and delete that. And I'm gonna make this game because this looks really nice. Okay. Wait, should I have done that? Undo. Let's go back in here. Okay, well, it's gone. But it's okay, we can just rebuild it. Or you know what? I don't want to rebuild it. Let's just bring it back. Okay. Oh wait, it's still called, okay, yeah, okay. So we brought it back. See, that's the beautiful thing about Git. If you mess something up, just go back in time, right? That's why I love Git, you know? So don't be afraid to play around with your projects and break it because, you know, that's how you learn. Okay, so let's do this again. Main 2. Call this game, main. Call this game. Okay, and so this we actually want to keep. So the cool thing about Unity is you can actually grab another scene and just drag it in here. So we can actually have both scenes on top of each other. And now all I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to close this scene. Remove scene. I'm going to duplicate this one. Call it game 2. Drag it over here. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm just going to start importing my other assets from the other scene into this one. So I need to destroy this main camera. We only need this one. I'm showing everything over here. Okay. Cool. Okay. Now I'm going to save my new game scene. And if I open up this old game one, that has that stuff, but we have this now. So I'm going to go ahead now. I can safely just delete that one and change game 2 to just game. And now let's just do some minor modifications here, right? So I'm going to bring in my scene view, click on my game board, switch out from 2D, right? Now remember, we used an array with just the transforms. So now all I have to do is just remove this plane. In my game board I have the ground, so I can just remove that, right? And I have these holes right here. So I just got to figure out what's my alignment here. So I'm going to just drag this down. So it looks like they're part of the ground like that. Okay. And I really want to see the entire scene. So I'm going to, here's my camera, right? I'm going to switch this to world so I can actually see everything. I'm going to pull it around. I just want to see. I want to be able to see my entire scene. And, you know, I'm not a level designer. So at this point, once you have this, you would hand this off to, you know, the level designer. And they'll figure out what's the best way to make this, you know, look nice. So I have absolutely no idea, so I'm just going to start guessing here. Okay. So these trees right here, we can probably move. So we can move these trees over here. Now we have this nice open area. Right? We could even delete some of these trees. Right? So now let's go to our camera. Maybe change our angle. That looks okay, right? So let's see what it looks like in the game view. Let's just maximize this. So that's how our game would look like. Now, remember when we had first laid out the holes where our moles are going to pop up, that was just in a flat plane. Our terrain now is bumpy. So we need to go ahead and start moving these so it looks like they're coming out of the ground, not just all linear. So let's go to these holes and then one at a time move them so they look pretty good. So I like to go into orthographic view and everything just becomes flat. So that looks pretty good. Let's go to hole number 2. Maybe bring this up just a little bit more like that. Hole number 3, bring that up. 4, bring that up slightly. Number 5, the one in the middle, bring that up slightly, just like that. Okay, cool. And we'll save. Now we have a brand new scene now, basically, right? That looks pretty good. So let's hit play and let's see what our game looks like now, right? Okay. Hey, that looks pretty good, no? Ah, that looks pretty good. I'm liking this. This is nice. Now, maybe having 5 little holes is too little, right? Let's add more. Let's make this game look a little bit more, a little bit more challenging. So this is what I really love about Unity, right? So I can grab this and just duplicate it, right? I can start moving it around. Now, is this a good idea? Maybe, maybe not. But, we'll see. Okay. So what do you guys think of that? Right? So you have a few more gophers or moles that are going to pop up, right? Okay. So go in here and rename these. Okay. Now we need to update the game manager because the game manager has the array of the holes. So the easy way to do this is I like to just delete them all, lock the inspector, and then grab all of these transforms that I'm going to add and just drag them in here just like that. And that's it. So now, can maximize this. And our gophers, or our moles, they're going to be spawning in either hole, right? So we have more variety now, so that's new, right? See? There you go. So that's pretty cute, right?
So if we wanted to make them come out like from behind the tree, kind of like sideways.
You want it to come out of the tree sideways?
Yeah. Would that be like a whole new animation you have to make? Or can you just rotate the animation?
Interesting point. So that's why when I do animations, I always have a root and then I animate the children. Had I animated the root, you're changing the transform values in world space. Versus if it's a child, you're changing the transform relative to the parent. So ours are actually already prepared for some situation like that. So you know what? Let's do that. In fact, let's just grab some of these random holes right here. And if you were to just rotate them, right? So if I just get this and just rotate it like that, except it's kind of hard to tell that it's facing up. But the way you can do that is you can actually click on this where it says global, switch it to local, like that. And if you hit W, the Y tells you up. The Y is up, which is like this green little hat. Okay? So let me just, for demonstration purposes, let me just grab all of them like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and rotate all of them sideways a little bit. Oh, that's not what I want. How do I just rotate them? Yeah, that's what I want. Let's try like that. Let's see what happens. I just rotated them on the X, which is pitch. So they'll be facing like either me or away from me. Okay, so that didn't work. But the answer is yes, you can. Let me just all right. Let me just rotate this one. I'm gonna rotate that one, so it's facing this way. This is hole number 1. Let me collapse this. Let me go to the game manager. Delete all of these except for the hole 1, and it's only gonna pop up in hole 1, and it should come out sideways. If we did this correctly, it should just come out sideways. Oh, it's still forward. Oh, and we just caused a infinite loop because remember our previous code? We restricted it. You can't use the previous one, and there's only one. So bam, infinite loop. Okay, now actually this is very good. This is actually very good. I'm glad this actually happened, because this has happened to me many, many times before. And the biggest problem is, so we're stuck in this loop. I'm going to have to force close Unity. And the problem is we might lose all of our progress in our scene. Okay? So if you reopen Unity, your changes will be gone. Right? So I'm actually kind of happy this happened in case this ever happens to you guys. So how do you resolve this so you can still keep your changes? And this is how you do it. So first we have to kill Unity, Task Manager. Let's go to Unity, wherever it's at, right here. We're gonna end task. Now it's gone. Do not, I repeat, do not open up Unity. Bad. Okay? If you open up Unity, any of your changes in the scene will be gone. Okay? So how do we recover? Every time you open up Unity, it creates this temp folder. There's backup scenes. When you open up Unity, that backup scenes folder gets cleared. that is our Unity scene. You can even see when the last time it was modified, right? So instead of losing hours and hours and hours worth of work, you might lose some, but not all. And trust me, I've been there. And oh my God, when I read on the forums that you can just do this, I was mad and I was happy because at least something like that is not gonna be the first time nor the last time. Like, I mean, I've been using Unity for so long that it happened to me again. So what do? You should copy this and then put it somewhere outside of that temp folder. Like put it here, for example. There, it's there. Okay. Actually, you should just move it inside your assets folder. And actually, you shouldn't. This is bad practice. You shouldn't modify the files in your Unity project directly like this. You should do it through Unity because it's going to create a meta file, and Unity needs this stuff, especially if you're going to be sharing your project with other people. The meta file contains metadata, and so we need to keep that. So I'm not going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it back into the root project right here. I'm going to rename it to what it is, game backup, and the Unity, the scenes for Unity are, their extension is .unity. So I'm going to say yes, and there we go. This is a Unity scene file. So now let's open up Unity. Okay. So I have absolutely no idea how much we lost, but we have the backup. So not everything is lost. Okay. But our scene looks pretty nice. Now, the reason why the mole did not change rotation had nothing to do with our animation, but when I randomized the mole's location, I only updated the location. I didn't update the rotation. Right? Hey, look, actually we lost a lot more than that. So main, all right, so here's our game scene. Oh no, we're fine, because that's fine. So, I was saving constantly, but I think we're okay. Yeah, actually, you see this? Do you remember I deleted all this stuff? Remember I had deleted all this, right? So just to drive the point home, let me drag this scene into here, and then let's look at the differences. Particularly the game manager. This had my change, and see, the other scene didn't. And so imagine if you were doing a bunch of stuff, right? Like, let's say this entire level, you had moved all the trees, put all the holes correctly, rotated them, and then Unity crashes for whatever reason, right? You would have lost all that work. But the backup scene, however, is there. So as long as you don't open up Unity, you can actually recover. Okay? I'm actually kind of glad that happened, because that's actually something a lot of people don't know, and now you know. So Unity's not perfect. No software is perfect. But at least here you can actually recover from your work. So you see here we have this, the game manager state. We're ready to recover that. Obviously it's not important to us because, it's fine. But yeah, just, a heads up about that. Okay. So that's something cool. See, I like that. Cool. So let's not do that again. Right? But, all right. So you say you want to have rotations. Let's preserve the rotations. And how we do that, we have to just update game manager. Instead of just changing the location, the position of the mole, we're also going to change its rotation based off the hole. So if we rotate these, the mole should also rotate. And because we animated the children, not the roots, we should see that. It's perfectly rigged the way we did it. We just didn't rotate it, but we can now. It's very easy. One line of code, done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay. Oh God, Visual Studios, don't die. Everything's done. This Mac, has been so good to me, but I cannot screen record. It's a 2-core CPU, 2013. It's pretty good, but it can't handle this stuff. You know what I mean? All right. Yeah, Sunday, baby, Sunday. All right. So here, look, here I changed the position. Now let's just change the rotation as well. Done. That's it. Now, so we can actually, see this. I'm gonna only have 2 holes this time, only 2, and I will rotate them like that. So let's go to hole 1. Okay. Where's hole 1? Okay, this is hole 1. I'm gonna rotate it. So it's facing this way. See, it's slightly tilted. And then here is hole 2. I'm gonna rotate this one this way. And that's where it's facing. It's facing a very weird angle. Okay, so let's try it. And I think it's these 2 holes. Or these 2. I don't remember. Okay. So our mole is no longer coming out vertically, it's coming out sideways. You see that? So let's see that again. See that? See that? Sideways. Okay. Does that answer your question? All right. Cool. And we all learned something new from that one question, so that's good. All right. Let's keep going. Okay, so I'm going to save, and this scene actually looks pretty nice. I like it. I'm happy with this, so yeah, our game's coming out pretty good. In fact, let's look for some caricatures, some little characters that we can find. So we have a mole. So let's see if we can find a gopher or a mole or something. Let's see, what we can find. Is a mole a gopher a mole? They're different, okay. Mole. So I'm just typing mole. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, hey, look at that. We found some things. So, but let's find the free assets. Look, lovely animal packs. And look, what do we got there? He's got glasses. So that looks pretty dope. And look at that. Are they animated? All right, we can't see the browser here. Okay. Lovely animals. Are these in 3D though? Okay. Oh yeah, right there it is. Okay. Ha 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 ha. Let's try it. Let's see. Because why not, So our game is going to start, looking like a game, So we're going to just import it. And then, if you guys want to whack cats, I know Dat wouldn't like that, but, there's a little cute pink cat. We can whack the cat. All right, so we're just going to import everything, which is not a good idea. You should import everything, look for the things you want, and then delete the things you don't need, so your project doesn't get so inflated with unnecessary things like shaders, textures, and models. Okay. I'm really excited for this gopher mole looking thing because it got those cool shades. So I'm kind of like, I want that in my game. Okay. All right. All right. So we have our little mole here. Remember, we have this thing called graphics, and we have this super sick capsule, right? That's all we had at the time. Now let's look at these, these cute animals. So there's some scenes. Remember, always look for the scene because they generally have examples of how things work. So let's look at this scene. Okay. And hey, look at that. That's pretty cute. Okay, so let's look at it. The cat here, hit F. All right, oh, they are 3D. Now let's look at this guy. He's cute. All right. So this is an FBX, I think. Yeah. So okay, so this is a skin mesh. So this must have bones. So this is animated here. This is definitely, yeah. So here are bones. You can grab this bone, for example, and start pulling it. And okay, so that one is not hooked. What's hooked? Base 3, bone 1. These aren't hooked. Ah, okay. So yeah. Well, I want to inspect. Ah, so there are animations here. There's an idle one. There you go. So there's an idle animation for this one, and then we have this mole attack. Ah, we can actually use that for the pop-up. I like this. I like this a lot. So, yeah, so check that out. And in fact, how high is he actually moving now? So this is his skin mesh, I think. So remove the preview. This should be his skin mesh. I don't know. Okay, I want to see what's actually changing. Okay, so it looks like dummy 01. Okay, so this is his actual. Okay. Okay. So we're just gonna have to figure out how to place him. But so far it's looking pretty cool. So let's look at the animator. Okay, here we go. Oh, do they have? Okay, here we go. So they start off in idle and then go to attack mode. Okay, so we might have to change this up a bit, but anyways, that looks good. You can click on the mole. These are all blue, so these are what known as prefabs. So they're like little containers that you can actually just copy. Right, that's kind of what they're meant for. So if you click on the select, I don't have to look through all the folders. It'll tell me where it's at, and there it is. So that's cool. So what I'm going to do now is open up my game. There's my my mole. You can see him right there, all cute. And here's my mole. He is now obsolete. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just drag this little. Whoa, this mole is huge. It's a big boy. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the mole boss right there. So that's the boss. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how badly I'm going to mess this up. So I'm gonna click on this model here, and whenever this happens, you should change the scale factor. So I'm gonna change this to 0.1, which is like 10% of the current scale, and that seems to have messed things up quite a bit. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at 1. I don't have time to fix this, but you should fix this. And I'm just going to scale this down something really, really small. So hopefully that's good. That looks pretty good. So I'll do 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Okay, not bad. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna just parent this under this graphic right here. Okay. Now, this guy is going to be facing forward, so that's good. All right. Okay. And now, this doesn't have any colliders on them. No. Okay. Cool. And now I'm just going to disable this mesh render for the capsule, just like for our little capsule there. And now let's just test this out. Let's just see what happens. So I'm going to save. I'm gonna hit run, and let's just see what happens. I have no idea what's gonna happen. There he is. But he's not facing us. All right. And that probably has to do with our capsule. Our capsule's facing forward, right? It's facing this way, which is correct. You should be facing forward. But our camera is behind us. So what can we do? Well, we could rotate the graphic, right? So let's just do that for now. Let's rotate it the other way. 180 degrees. I can't do math. Okay, 180 degrees. And let's try that. Now that's not a good fix, but let's just do this for now. Okay. And there we go. Our little gopher. Okay. So I think our gopher is, our mole should be moved up probably, right? Let's enable our capsule so we can get a good reference. Let's move it like right there. Okay, disable this. There's a lot of things that we need to fix on this, but I'm just trying to get this to like, just to work visually, and we'll fix that. All right, so that's pretty good. So the mole is really big, as you can see. So, you know, so we might have to update the animation, right? So for now, let's click on our mole here, go to the animation, and on the show, we need to change its Y value to something steeper, like -15. Okay, we should hit the record button so we can actually record these values. So -15 there, and we'll still go to 0. Oh, my bad. We don't want to change this. We want to change the graphics location. So from -1, we're going to change this to -2. And okay. So this, yeah, so that should be pretty good. Okay. And on the hide, we're going to go from this 0 to -2. So let's record that. Oops. Okay. Save. Okay. Let's try that. There we go. Nice. Now we can't see it. Yes, because I for you guys, because I'm the screen stuff. But yeah, that looks pretty cute, right? That's pretty good. Now, do they have any assets for rocks in this environment? No, they do not. That sucks. Huh? There's rocks? Well, they don't come out of rocks, right? They come out of like dirt. If we could find like a little dirt thingy, that'd be pretty cool. Kelly, can you make a dirt thingy?
I made an asset thing with a mole and a ground, and you just pulled this out of like the asset store. So I don't know, maybe you should get some stuff off the asset store.
All right, so here you go. Let's find some dirt. Dirt patch. All right, something for dirt patch. Let's call this dirt. You can find something. Yeah, there's some stuff, but yeah, mostly materials. All right, we'll stick with our little spheres for now. Okay. Let's see. Let's find our main menu. So we want our main menu to look like the game scene. We still want that background, right? So one thing we can do is we can just delete this main because there's nothing in there. Duplicate our game. Call this main like that. And then delete the stuff that we don't need. Like we don't need the game manager. We don't need that. We don't need the mole. Or maybe we can have the mole. We'll place them somewhere. We don't need the HUD. We don't need the game over. Game board. I guess we can keep the holes there. Okay. So I'm going to disable a lot of these things from our mole. So I'm going to disable the capsule. That way you don't click on it, so it's not clickable. Right? Am I in my game scene? Ah, dang it, I'm in my game scene. All right, undo, Control Z, everything. All right. Here we go. Delete the game manager. Delete the HUD, the game over. This plane, we just delete that. I don't know what that's for anymore. Okay, save that. All right, and the mole, we want to keep the mole. We want to disable the capsule collider so nothing is gonna interact with it. I'm gonna disable the animator, and I'm gonna bring up the graphic. I'm gonna move it somewhere. So I'm gonna place it somewhere. Like here, I guess. Right? I guess just like that, you know. Because now when I play it, nothing's gonna happen. It's just going to idle. Right. Right. So it's clipping through this little sphere, so I'm going to move it so it doesn't clip. There we go. So that shouldn't clip anymore. And we can't click on it, nothing happens, right? Okay. So let's start building the entire main menu now. So to create a menu, remember, or a UI, you use the canvas. We'll call this main menu, just like that. Okay. Switch it to 2D, and let's focus on our canvas here. Right. So because I have the mole in the middle, I don't want the UI to be right here in the middle because it's going to block my gopher. It's going to block my view. So we're going to want to put the menu somewhere else, or the buttons. So where do you guys think we should put the buttons at? Should we do on the left side, on the right side, on the bottom? You know? What do you guys think? Bottom? All right, let's do the bottom. So let's look at some inspiration again. So where's my Firefox? Okay, oh, there it is, right there, Firefox. So let's see who has menus in the bottom. So we can take some inspiration. Oh, this looks, they're here, perfect, look at that. Looks nice. You know, I don't know what this is, but I like how they place the menu. Okay, this one just has one gigantic play button. Because the way we designed our, our 3D, environment for our main menu, we can't put things in the middle because we're gonna block our gopher, and that kind of defeats the purpose there, right? So, placement of your UI is very, very important, right? So just be careful on that. Yeah, so let's go with something like this, something that has stuff on the bottom. So let's just rapidly start building that out. So, if this was this is a real game. I mean, it's a game, right? But if we were doing this, for realsies, as they say, we would probably have like a play button, options, maybe a credit to show who built the game, but we want to make sure everything's always aligned properly. So I like to use a horizontal layout to make sure all my buttons are nice and straight. Okay. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a empty game object here. And this is my convention. I'll call this navigation, right? Just like that. And I'll move this to the bottom, so it just takes up the entire bottom. And I'll give it a height of like, let's say 75. Okay. I'm gonna add a horizontal layout group. Now, what the horizontal layout group is, it forces all the children, all the elements that are going to be parented to this component here, to be aligned in a horizontal fashion. So, for example, if I right-click here and go to UI, and I add a button, there's one. If I add another one, there's another one, and they're all being aligned horizontally. I don't have to, mess with this stuff, right? So I want to have 3 buttons, one for the play, options, and then credits. Okay. So I can align this middle center like that. Bam. See? Just like that. We can take control. We can add some spacing, some more spacing. Now, the only problem is this navigation is always going to take the entire width. That's going to be kind of difficult for us to control the spacing and some padding, because it's just all going to be, the entire thing, and it's trying to break it up into even chunks. So I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a content size fitter. And on the horizontal fit, I'm going to say preferred size. And what it's going to do is this component will have the width based off the sum of all the widths of the children. So as soon as I hit preferred size, you'll see what I mean. It gets condensed. See the difference? Right? If I add the content size fitter, hit preferred size, and then bam. Okay. Now I can actually control the spacing. See, now this makes more sense, right? Okay. Okay, so let's add some spacing. So I'll do like 25 pixels or something like that. Okay. Now let's start editing these buttons. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to call this button play. Change the text here to play. And now we have our new font here. So we can actually click on this little circle and change our font. So now we have this, and there it is. It looks all weird, so let's hit best fit. Okay. Now if we maximize this, it looks like that. So that's pretty dope. So it says play, right? Okay. Let me just place that over here. Just like that. So I'm going to change this one to button options, something like that. I don't know. I'm going to remove this. I like the really sharp corners. Change this to options. I'll change the font. I'll change this to best fit, so it takes up as much space as it can. Change this to button credits. Give credit where credit is due, right? And then here, call this credits, and then go ahead and change the font to that as well. So now in our game scene, it looks like that. That's pretty cool, huh? You know, we can even change the colors. You know, we can change the colors. So we can say play, click on play. Start changing the colors, you know. I don't know what good colors are, you know. Maybe play is like a green color, like that. Or make it yellow. Let's make it yellow. But then we change the background. The opposite of yellow is blue. So let's find something that looks cool. See, I'm not an artist, so I have no idea. Maybe brown? Maybe a nice little brown. Yeah, maybe we keep that as the color. So we can add this as a custom color now. And I can just click on these other buttons, change this to this one so they'll have the same. I can click on this. I can save this color. So we have this particular yellow. I can change this one to that particular yellow. And if you want to change the other labels to different colors, you can do so. Okay. Now let's add our title to the top. I want to make a title here that says Whack-A-Mole. So let's do that. So I'm going to create a new empty game object. Right. I'm going to force this to expand to the top. I'm going to give it a height of 250 or 200. Yeah, looks pretty good. I'm going to call this header. That's our header. And then here, I'm going to add a text component. Okay. I want the text component to stretch out. I'm going to place this right in the middle. I'm going to change the font to this cartoony font. I'm going to hit best fit. Now we have that. It says new text. I'm going to change this to like this yellow color that we have. Yeah. And it's going to call this Whack-A-Mole. Whack-A-Mole, a SoDA experience, right? Because this is all an experience, right? So I'm going to add an outline to my text. That makes it pop a little bit. I'm going to change that outline to this brown color. Okay. Or maybe I should invert this. Maybe I should turn this brown and make the outline white, yellow. I mean, I don't know. You can play around with this. I'm not an artist, so, you know, I know, you know. So you can do a lot of things. For example, let's say I wanted to change, like, where is this thing at right here? Where was this? Actually, that's a good example right there. Where's the one that said awesome game? This one had the first letter, changed it to like yellow. So we can do that. I can change this first letter using what's known as rich text. So I can use like a sort of type of HTML, XML style using tags. So I can change this using color equals, for example, I can color this yellow. I'll surround this around the W. And so now that W is just yellow. Right? So we have something, I don't know, maybe white? Maybe white will work. Maybe change the text to this yellow. I don't know. I'm horrible at this. Brown? this yellow background thing, majiggy. So you can go ahead and play with this and make it look all, however you want, right? So this is looking pretty good, huh? Now, I want the whack-a-mole to be much, much bigger, so we can just, make this bigger, but I don't want the SoDA experience to be so big like that. So I can change, using rich text, I can change this, and I believe it's size equals, I'm going to change it to 22. Okay, so make this even smaller, 5. Okay, so you can see you can mess around with this stuff here a little bit. And change this line spacing, make it a little bit more compact, something like that. Right? This is now starting to look more and more like a game. Right? The UIs are so incredibly important. Like the way you design this stuff is, I'm telling you, is the most important thing that you need to learn as a game developer and game maker, whatever you want to call yourself. Well, game developer, right? So look what I did with just a couple of buttons, some colors, and then finding this little asset on Unity Asset Store in this entire environment. This made this entire thing change. Right? That's why it's very good. Like if you can learn how to model using Blender or Maya, 3ds Max. Blender is free. If you can really learn how to use that stuff, I mean, the things you could do is amazing. I mean, look at these trees. I mean, they're not extravagant as in like super high details, but look, it gives it that style. It gives it that nice pop. Look at this ground. I mean, this looks really good, right? So, I know like future employers would really like it if you are incredibly diverse, not only know how to program, but also design your own assets. That way you don't ever have to wait on an artist. You can just build something, and then wait for the artist to build something, probably better than you. And it's not a bad thing. They went to school for that. They practice that. That's their expertise. You're the programmer, right? But at least you can build something so you can actually see it and then imagine what things will look like, right? When games are being developed, they're usually little cubes, capsules, and whatever. That's I can only imagine how fighting games start off, just looking all weird, no characters involved, but they're just trying to get the mechanics in. They're just trying to get the main game functionality in first. And then while the artists are building, these beautiful assets, and then they just import them and just bring it all together. How we just did right now, right? So yeah, this is looking pretty dope, right? So let's rig this so when I hit play, that the game, starts. Okay. So I need to create a script here. So again, I like to be nice and organized. And you might be wondering why you create a folder every time you're going to put a script in there, right? Specifically for the UIs. Why do I always do that? And the reason why is because I have no idea if I'm going to need helper scripts to make my main menu, for example, this UI, function. I may need helper scripts to do other things, okay? So I like to create a folder so that if I need to have, scripts specifically for the main menu that are not going to be part of the main menu class, but separate classes, it's all nice and, categorized, and everything's just, contained within. So call this main menu and create main menu. Okay. Oops, put it in the wrong place. Okay. Let that do its thing. Okay, drag that in here. Okay, here we go. So the main menu, what is it going to do? So what we want the main menu to do is when you click on the play button, we want the game scene to load. So in order to switch between scenes, Unity has a manager called Scene Manager, and that's inside of the Unity engine.scene management namespace, right? And so what I want to be able to do is I want to rig the button so that when you click on it, it invokes a method here called, play. So remember, in order to be able to do that, the method here needs to be public, so we can actually see it inside of the onClick event on the button. So public void onPlay. Okay. We'll do a quick debug. Right, something like that. So we'll just rig this button. Okay. Hit play right here. Click on this play. On click, so when this particular button gets clicked, oh, I don't have the main menu script, so let's drag that in here. There it is. So when this button gets clicked, I want to tell the main menu on play. There we go. Now it's rigged. So if we hit play, user wants to play, user wants to play, right? So let's load the game scene. So we use Scene Manager. Remember, this is coming from the .scene management namespace, which we imported right there. Say load scene game. All right. Let's go back to Unity. Okay. And so let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, hit play. And then there we go. We're in our scene. Bam. Game over. Restart. We have a almost fully functioning game, right? Now, keep in mind something. When loading scenes, you need to make sure that in the build settings, you actually have your scenes in here. Now, it worked, and I'm actually kind of surprised because I don't have anything inside of my scenes here. So that shouldn't have worked, but it worked. I don't know why. So we need to add this scene and add the game scene. Okay. Don't know what that is. Okay. Now, your main menu needs to be at the very top, or whatever scene you want to run first at the very top. Now, can I run this from the game scene? Yes, of course. You've seen me do that. But when you build, what's the first scene that Unity needs to load? And that's the one that's at the very top. Right? So if I were to build this to WebGL or to Android, right? The scene that you want to be loaded first needs to be at the very top. After that, the scenes here, they don't matter. You can be in any order because you're going to call them either via string like load, blah, scene, or whatever. So, yeah. The rest of the order doesn't matter. But the very first scene, that needs to be the scene that you want to be loaded first. Okay? Let's go ahead and save. Okay? So after you do any edits to any assets, it's a good idea to go to edit our file and then go to save project just to make sure that everything gets saved. Okay, in case something crashes or something like that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So let's hit play again. Let's go back to our game. Hit play here. Now, already, as you can see here, we have this issue where our score has a different font style. We want this to be uniform, right? So we need to go to the game scene and modify this. So that's in our HUD. So we're going to change this to this new font style that we have. And in my background, I'm going to remove this background, or I can keep it. I can change this to be, brown. Make the font be yellow. Let's try that. No. Yeah. Or maybe if we turn this one brown. Hold on. I was going to turn the text brown and then the background yellow, but I think that's too much yellow. It's too distracting. So let's change it yellow. But then let's do an add component outline. Let's add that brown outline. Then what I'm going to do with the header is I'm going to bring down the opacity. Okay. 255 divided by 4. So 1/4 the opacity. Okay. And we're also going to need to update our game over, because this isn't, our score looks different here. So we got to change this font to this. Change this to be yellow with a brown outline. Oh, is it brown and then yellow on brown? Alright, whatever. I'm not an artist. Whatever. You guys can play around with this. Make it look nicer. Okay. So let's change this to be brown. Like that. And then obviously we have to fix all this stuff right here. Let's change this to be this new font color here. Let's change that to be our yellow. Let's add this outline to be brown, like that. Okay, so this font that we picked might be kind of bad, because this, or maybe you can actually read that. Might have to make it a little bit bigger, because on mobile that might look too small. So let's try that out. Make this bigger. Make it 50. And let's change the font size to best fit. Oh, okay, there we go. I got 32. 25. Yeah, 25 is pretty good. Alright. Change the score to be a little bit bigger. Pretty good. Let's bring this down a little bit. Not too much. 2. Okay. Now our game over needs to also have the retry and the quit. So let's do that navigation thing that I had done before again. So we're gonna make our call this navigation. Okay, put this at the very, very bottom. Add a horizontal layout. Do it middle center. Move our restart button into here. Okay. So the width is very destroyed now. So let's do 160. Okay. And let's create another button. Let's call this quit. If I can spell that correctly. There you go, quit. We need to remove this because we're going to use a different logic for the quit. We'll do the content size fitter, preferred size, add 25 line spacing, change this text to quit. And hey, look at that. Not bad, not bad. Right? So in our game over, on quit, we want to load up the main menu scene. We need to do that using the scene management. So we can load scenes. So scene manager dot load scene. And I think I called it main. So just going to go back to the main menu. Okay. So how do we rig this? On the button, click on the button. Okay. All right, click on the button. Hit this plus on click. We want to tell the game over script to do our on quit request. Okay. So we're going to disable this, re-enable our HUD, right? Let's go back to the main menu, and let's look at this flow, the flow of our game, right? So we hit play. Okay, we hit restart. Let's just play again. All right, and hit quit. And go back to our main menu, just like that. What's that? Oh, like, call it what? Ah, okay. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for it. Change quit. I'll change this name to menu. I think some of them sometimes call it home. Yeah. So we can call it home, I guess. Home. There it is. Just like that. So I'll call this home. Okay. There are obviously some inconsistencies with the fonts. Some of them have outlines, some of them don't, but you know, whatever. It's fine. This is home. Click on that. We're home. Now we're home. Okay. Now let's try playing this again. Let's see if anything broke. Hit play. And nothing happens. What happened? Our game manager's over here on this don't destroy unload, and let's check it out. We lost all these references to everything. We lost them all. We lost everything. Why? Because our game manager was a singleton. Okay? And that's fine. But the problem is that that game manager needs to only live in that scene. Okay? So how do we fix this? Right? So let's go to the game manager inside of our game. We're going to have to modify some stuff. We still want the game manager to be accessible globally as long as you're within the scene. But as soon as you leave the scene, you need to be not accessible. Okay? So, what can we do? Now, here the scene is already imported here, right? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, scene manager, let me know when a level has loaded. Active scene changed. Subscribe to it. Okay. Or let's not use that one. Let's do scene loaded. Yeah. We'll do that. Okay. and we just do a quick check. Remember, this is going to be a singleton. Okay? So for a brief moment, it will live in the main menu for a brief moment, but then we need to destroy it. Okay? Because when the game scene gets loaded, there is already a game manager in there, right? So then that game manager will be loaded. Not this one. We want to kill this one. Is this a good design? No. No, it is not. Okay? So we have to be very careful about this. Now, I'm only doing this because I just want this to work. But like I said before, I want this game to be fully, sort of fully built. And then we're going to go back and we're going to refactor a lot of things with, because I want to go over software design principles and stuff. And we're going to apply it to this and see how we can change this. Especially the UI, using MVC patterns and stuff like that. So this is basically abusing singleton. Okay, so I'm sorry, singleton. All right, so let's fix this. So we're going to say if, this is very bad, so please don't judge yet. Okay, string.compare. I'm going to change this to, name that to scene arg1, call that mode. And I don't really care. So if the scene.name so the scene loaded is not game, right? Then I have to destroy this game object. Destroy it. Because I'm not in the game scene, I'm somewhere else. The game manager should not live there. Yeah? Okay. Okay, but before we do that, we should also unsubscribe, right? So scene manager dot scene loaded minus equals this dot scene manager scene loaded. There you go. Okay. Every time you subscribe, you should always unsubscribe at some point, right? And here's a good time to unsubscribe. Okay. So let's try this out again. Let's go back to the main menu. Okay. Okay, hit play. And let's go through this entire loop again. Hit play. Okay, so everything seems to be working. All right, now, moment of truth. We're going to hit home. Look, our game manager's over here. It's gone. Hit play. Our game manager popped up again. And now we have our game playing again. Yeah? So obviously our game is a little bit too quick now, but now we can do what we wanted to do, which was have the game be around 30 seconds. So see how many points you can get within 30 seconds, right? That's kind of the goal here of the game. All right, so let's try this out. Hit play. So I'm like a super pro at this, right? You really don't know where it's going to pop up. That's what's really cool about these whack-a-mole games, right? Game over. So I scored 95 points. Go home. There we go. Now we have these credits and options, which we'll rig later. For example, turn off the annoying sound effects, you know. Cool. Now, let's do something else next. Let's find some background music. The game's kind of, you know, it's too sad. We need some cartoony. So remember we went to that free sound? Free sound. Okay. Let's find some cartoony music. Cartoon game music. I don't know, something. Here we go. And it's in the loop, which is perfect. Actually, that's what you want. You want a game that a sound file that loops, so the sound can just continue playing over and over again. And if the sound designer or whatever says that it loops, it means that you will never hear it make that weird noise from looping. It's a perfect loop. So let's look the sounds. Let's see what this one sounds like. So that's pretty cute, right? Game show theme tune? Maybe not. We'll see. Nah. So let's also make it clear that we need something that loops. So let's add another tag here. So we want things that loop. Jolly Cartoon Groove. What is that? That's too groovy. Eerie soundtrack for like a horror game. I kind of like that. Not for this game, but like.
They pop up from the ceiling.
Right? Retro action groove. So let's make this a little bit more generic. So just call it game music, and let's just start finding some stuff. Game theme number 4. No. That's too long, and it's too 8-bit. Too retro. Laser attack. Gaming arcade loop. That sounds nice, but it doesn't match our style of the game. That's the problem. So, I really like this first sound. This one. I really like this one. And it's a perfect loop. I hit this loop. Now you might have heard that little pause. That's their sound plugin for the sound. And we put it in Unity. You won't have that pause. It'll just seamlessly go through again. Okay, so let's download this. If I can remember. Oh, and yeah, so you should always look at, when you're downloading stuff like this, you should always look at the licensing. So here it says, this work is licensed under the attribution license. To use this song, please make a donation of any amount to my PayPal. There you go, thanks. Okay, well, you said any amount, so I don't know. All right, well, I want to use this, so I'm going to download it, and I'll send him a tip. So I'll make sure to tip him for educational purposes. Right now, I don't remember my password here. Great. Download. Thank you, Mr. Thenor Ronha. All right. 2016. He uploaded this 2016. I have no idea if his PayPal even still works. You're just gonna get like a random $8 and be like, "What the heck is this from?" So I'll make sure to tip that guy. So, all right. Thank you, sir. All right. So here's our file, and what we have to do is just drag it into Unity. Go to our audio, drop it in there. Now, because we have this game loop stuff, I don't know if remember I told you guys when it comes to audio, if your audio effects are really, really small, you should use wave. If they're really long, you should avoid wave, use something like MP3, right? So, I don't have time to convert this right now. So I'm just going to call this, cartoon game theme, right? Basically what he called it, just not with all the other stuff. Okay. So one thing is that audio assets will automatically try to be fully loaded into RAM. We don't want that. Especially if your music is really, really long, like 5 minutes long. That could be, you know, depending on the format, if it's FLAC or WAV, that could be 30, what happened there? Oh, somebody else playing. Okay, that could be like 30 megabytes for like a 3-minute song or less. And that's going to take up not all, but it's going to be, you know, 30 megabytes of RAM. So you don't want that. So what you want to do is for background music and stuff like that, you should be streaming it. And I'll prove that to you. So I'm going to add here a empty game object. And I'm going to call this music background, like that. I'm going to add an audio source here. Okay, I'm going to say play and awake. I want it to loop. I'm going to just drag that in there. Okay. Now remember, always be profiling. Okay, so we're going to go to Window. Where's the analysis? Analysis, Profiler. And let's look at the audio here. Where's my audio? Video, audio. Here we go. Where it says total audio memory, that's how much RAM it's going to take. So let's see what happens when we don't add a minor optimization. Let's just see what happens. Let's look at the memory consumption here. Okay. Oh, I muted the audio here. There we go. So it says here total audio memory 3.9 megabytes. Okay. Now that may not seem much to a lot, but if you have a bunch of these, like for example, you have a lot of environmental background noises, this starts to add up. This is all fully loaded into RAM. So if your audio file is a WAV file, which should not be if it's music, and it's 50 megabytes, it won't start playing until all 50 megabytes have been loaded. In fact, it can actually halt your game until all the audio has been loaded into RAM, so you'll have lag. So right here it says 3.9. Now, let's just change one thing here. That's a beautiful thing about Unity. You see this is load type. We're going to go from decompress on load to streaming. Hit apply. And let's just see what happens. Right? So again, 3.9 megabytes. Hit play. Audio. We went down to, alright, 2.1. But we still saved some. Okay? And again, this is a WAV file, so it's going to take a lot more. But on MP3, I've seen it go down to like way less. What's that?
What does the streaming option actually do?
So the streaming option, what it does is it has a buffer, a size buffer for the audio, and it only reads chunks at a time. So it samples it as it goes. And once it reaches the end, if you have it looping, it'll just go back to the beginning. And it just reads chunks at a time versus loading the entire audio into memory and then reading that. That's why it's called streaming. So it'll only read it chunks at a time. And that's what you want, right? So for mobile, you should always be using streaming for your audio files because, you know, on mobile, you're limited on RAM. And if you're really trying to push the graphics, or if you have some computationally heavy game mechanic, like you have, you know, generated worlds and you're doing all this math, you need to save where you can. And if your game is what we call CPU bound, right? That means that your game or program or app utilizes the CPU a whole lot more than the GPU. Right? And so you're going to want to figure out ways to prevent the CPU from being your bottleneck. RAM could be memory bound, meaning your game uses a lot of memory. So a lot of things are being loaded into memory and you're doing stuff like maybe like an image processor type of program where everything needs to be loaded up into RAM and you manipulate it and you save things and stuff like that. If you're GPU bound, that means that your game's main bottleneck is the GPU. So that could be like you have a ton of graphics, a lot of shaders, stuff like that, high poly, models that's just taking up all your GPU. You're doing all your GPU, or you're offloading a lot of your computation from the CPU onto the GPU. Now your GPU is just, has all this traffic going on, and it's slowing down your game. Your CPU is free, but your GPU is really the bottleneck. So it could also be that your hardware is not good enough to handle it. So maybe the GPU is just not good enough on that particular device to run your particular application. And so on a particular device, you could be GPU bound, and on another device, you could be CPU bound because maybe the CPU is not good enough. Or you're memory bound because you don't have enough RAM. So what does that mean? You need to test on different devices, right? So it's not uncommon, right, for a developer that's going to be doing a mobile game to have multiple mobile devices. Testing in the Unity editor is great. You can see a lot of things, but don't take it to be, how it's going to look in the wild, right? So, as you're working on your games, especially on mobile, that's what we're focusing on right now, sort of, kind of, also WebGL, is you need to constantly be testing. So even though this is working here, that doesn't mean it's going to work on WebGL. There could be issues, unforeseen issues, that you're going to have to work through. So you test and you test and you test and you test some more. So on mobile especially, you can use emulators, but emulators very, very slow. And again, it's an emulator. It's simulating the real world, and you have no idea what's going to happen out there. So there's a lot of Android devices now that are pretty cheap, and they're still pretty powerful, but you can get a wide variety. So when you're trying to figure out what devices should I get to test, there's a breakdown. You can look for the Android device, I think it's like market share or something like that. I'll actually tell you what type of devices are out there. Yeah. So let's look at this, something like this. And let's see what's the breakdown here. So you can get an idea of what types of phones are used. Steam every year publishes their statistics on different hardware specifications. We'll tell you, oh yeah, like 60% of all PC users on Steam, for example, on Windows, are using Intel or AMD or the types of GPUs. So that's very powerful information for the developer, because they can start looking at the top 5 types of configurations, and they can build those and test on that, and then hope for the best, right? So you'll have to do the same thing for mobile. So I remember Android actually had a little developer page where they actually had that. So you'll just have to look for something like that. We'll give you a breakdown of the most popular Android phones. They'll tell you like, oh, it's a Samsung whatever, followed by the Sony Xperia, followed by the Google Pixel, and blah, 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 blah. And then you can start looking at the top phones. So don't take what you think you know. You have to actually look at the data. What are the phones that are actually out there? Because not everybody can afford a $1,000 phone. So that may not dominate the market, So you have to be very careful, So anyways, so yeah. So we sort of kind of have the audio working, right? Because as soon as I hit play and it goes to the game, it's not going to be there. If I put it in the game and in the main menu, when I switch scenes, it's going to restart playing. We want it to be continuous. So before we leave, let's just go ahead and do that. We'll do a quick and hacky way. So just for now, under utility, you're going to add a thing called don't. We'll call it persist. Okay. It's a very dirty way of doing this. Don't do it this way. What you should create is a music player that will handle all this for you. But we don't have time right now. We have 5 minutes. Okay. All I want to say is on start, right? Again, this is a Unity magic method. Don't destroy unload this. Okay. That's basically it. Now the only problem is that once we load the main menu, go to the game will have one, but then when we go back to the main menu, there's another instance of this, and that will die. That will spawn another one. So you have two audio tracks playing, so we need to kill one, right? So what do? We can give this an ID. Make it empty for now. And we'll have to go through okay, if, and then do a for loop. I'm going to run through all the instances of persist. Again, this is very bad. Don't do this. Okay. Okay.
All of them kill all the other ones. All at once.
I guess I don't need this then. So let's see what happens with that. And I'll hit return here because I don't want it to go into this. Okay, so let's go back here and let's see if this works. We might have a race condition. So again, very bad. I have 5 minutes. I'm trying to get this to just work, you know. Okay, add a persist here. Call this music. Hit save, hit play. I need to go to the game. The game doesn't have this music. So when I go there, it's going to keep playing. It does. Very good.